Welcome to the Authority File. I'm Bill Mickey, your host and the editorial director at Choice. In this series of conversations, we'll be looking at the experience of finding, accessing, analyzing, teaching, and learning with primary sources and archival material. Joining me will be Dr. Rebecca Kreitz, a research fellow at the Center for the History of Medicine at the University of Warwick in the UK. Dr. Kreitz will be talking about how she has used archives and primary sources in her research and instruction. Also joining me is Felix Barnes, an editor at Adam Matthew Digital, which has launched a new platform called Research Methods Primary Sources, an online learning tool that helps students develop their primary source literacy. This 4-part series is brought to you in part by Adam Matthew Digital. In this third episode of our series, we look a little closer at Adam Matthew's new Research Methods Primary Sources platform and some examples of case studies featured in the product. Felix, you had mentioned the Research Methods Primary Resources platform that Adam Matthew has developed. So let's talk about that a little bit more. Becky, you contributed a case study for Research Methods Primary Resources. Can you talk about that? How did you select what you wanted to write about?
Well, I've contributed quite a few case studies now.
Oh, okay. Excellent.
Yeah. So I chose a combination of familiar and unfamiliar subjects. I think along the lines of crime and violence, which of course my jam, but also ephemera, class, the press, data sets, lots of different combinations. And while I was exploring these, I was asking, what do the readers want to know about using this kind of primary source? So each study that I generated was geared around helping new researchers learn what sort of initial questions to ask, how to evaluate a source, how to understand and navigate its methodological challenges, identifying potential historical problems and research questions, how to critically analyze them, how to apply theory, construct an argument, you name it. And so these were really constructed as sort of like guided tours to a new kind of source or a new subject area. And they offered this little practical demonstration of research and analysis.
Mm-hmm. And then Felix, can you explain a little bit about what the case studies are attempting to achieve as part of what's offered in Research Methods Primary Resources?
Of course. So all the case studies are based on a digitized source, so a facsimile of that source or sources. Mm-hmm. And fundamentally, they're there to demonstrate how a professional works through that material, how a professional thinks about that material. And the idea is to share that knowledge. So, for example, I've come across so many interesting things and since doing this project. And so, for example, we had a case study in the other day about 18th century periodicals, about a periodical called the Ladies Magazine. And it was great. The author talks through, how they would look at this material. And so they say, well, you would think this is a periodical and it's something you would read to get this reflection of society, et cetera, et cetera. They published a lot of fiction. But for example, this author would warn against seeing fiction as this mirror of society. So, you get that little bit of wisdom. They talked about how they might look at the periodical quantitatively. So, come up with a taxonomy of article types and content types. And that's not something I necessarily would have thought of before. So that's the kind of thing. And on top of that, they gave this amazing background to periodical publishing and, explained how this was the start of what they call the public sphere. So there's all these kinds of things you learn about these source types, really, that we hope will be really helpful to students to be exposed to this thinking. Mm-hmm. And these case studies, they do deal with a range of source material. And I think it's worth making that point that, for example, a financial record, a government record, a diary, a letter, and it's how you approach these different types of source material. So I think I just want to make that point.
Right. Excellent. Felix, maybe we should pull back a bit and explain what the overall goal is for Research Methods Primary Resources. You'd mentioned it earlier in the first episode, but this is kind of a different product than what Adam Matthew is typically known for, right?
That's right. So, yeah, as I was saying, Adam Matthew Digital is primarily a publisher of primary source material. So we license, digitize, and then publish archives, and we take it from physical to digital form. So, but in many ways, we don't engage a huge amount with the how. We show the what, if you like, this is. But I mean, we do, alongside our collections, we do commission experts, subject experts, to write about the sources and talk about the kind of material they're going to find and so forth. But we just wanted to do something which is more detailed on the how students interact with this stuff. So if you'll allow me to just explain the structure of the platform, there are kind of three main components. One, learning tools, case studies, and practice sources. So the learning tools are sets of, they could be videos or essays. And the videos could be things like scholars talking about how they work with material in their discipline, and their experience. So that could be medievalists, early modernists. We've got a really interesting range. People who have been 40 years in the business, people who are relatively new. So a really nice range of people. We've got essays talking about, some of those conceptual questions about why some sources are archived, why others are not. Simple things like how you critically evaluate a source. There are essays on kind of more practical guides on how you deal with oral histories. How do you research landscape? How do you research individuals? Things on digital tools such as GIS mapping, something on data mining, and then some more conceptual pieces on the nature of history and the philosophy of history. Also in those learner tool areas, one bit I really love is we've done little behind the scenes videos at archives, so to show people how you work with or how you access the material. So we've got some great videos at the British Film Institute, the UK National Archives, the local library in the US. We even managed to do one that's really exciting in Ghana, the National Archives in Ghana. So that's great. And the case studies, very much what we've talked about. They are based on sources, and that is commissioned pieces by professionals stepping you through how to interact with primary source material. We also have some of the case studies deal with data sets as well, data mining. And thirdly, we've republished lots of sources on which students can then go and practice. So once you've looked at the let's say the case study on periodicals, or Becky did one on newspaper and crime, you can go and then look at a different periodical or a different newspaper and just step through that process on your own. And so that's the third element, those practice sources.
Excellent. So the practice sources are integrated into the platform. Is there any sort of, if, for example, an institution is a subscriber to any of the other Adam Matthew collections, are there outbound links to those, or is there any integration with those?
Yes, you should be able to link through from that source back into its parent collection. That's right. Yeah.
Nice. And then, Becky, in your experience working with students and new researchers, how do you see this platform helping them?
Well, it sets them up for success, and practice makes perfect, but it's important that new researchers practice the correct things. So this platform really gives them the confidence that they are engaging in a sound research process from the beginning. It's this really lovely supportive environment that complements formal teaching, but it's also suited to independent learning as well, which I really love. It doesn't make any expectations of prior knowledge or experience, as Felix was saying, and it doesn't patronize them either. So it's geared towards developing those skill sets by learning from professionals and practicing them themselves as well.
You just heard from Dr. Rebecca Kreitz, a research fellow at the Center for the History of Medicine at the University of Warwick in the UK, and Felix Barnes, an editor at Adam Matthew Digital. This episode is brought to you in part by Adam Matthew Digital. Join us next week for a conversation about the future of primary sources, ongoing digitization efforts, and the impact that's having on accessibility.
Yeah, it's really important for especially our new researchers to be aware of the challenges of digital literacy. We've got to be able to consider the process of selection for digitization, the shortcomings, which are thankfully diminishing, of word recognition software, and the limitations of searchable metadata that reflect our constantly developing research interests, especially for non-written sources like pictures that require an archivist to predict a researcher's interests.
If you like what you hear, rate us or give us a review on your podcast platform of choice. As always, sponsorship and advertising for the Authority File podcast are handled by Choice's advertising manager, Pam Marino, and all of our episodes are produced and edited by Choice's digital media assistant, Sabrina Kofer. That's all for this week. Thanks for joining us.